Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, is another top NXT star's WWE contract on the verge of expiring?
Free agents from WWE and Impact were backstage at AEW Dynamite this week.
Renee Paquette is still under a WWE non-compete clause.
And Bray Wyatt was cleared to return to the ring just before he was released by WWE. I'm Adam Wiltborn.
And I'm Andy Murray.
And this is the news.
All right, let's kick things off by talking about Pete Dunne. New report here from Fightful Select emerging yesterday evening, talking about how his WWE contract, similar to the Adam Cole situation, Pete Dunne's WWE contract is going to be expiring soon. One source within WWE has told Fightful Select that it will be out, the contract will expire after SummerSlam weekend, which is, of course, the 21st and 22nd of this month. So, really interesting situation here. The Cole thing is wild. Obviously, it was reported initially that his first contract expired in July. He then ended up agreeing with WWE that he would work through SummerSlam weekend as well. He's probably going to wrestle Kyle O'Reilly on TakeOver. That hasn't been confirmed yet, but, watching TV and following the patterns seems to be heading that way. Dunne now has a similar timescale, it seems now. The situation has been described to Fightful as being similar to Cole's, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Dunne's contract expired in July as well and he's on a similar agreement. It's just, it's expiring and everything else. There's no word on, negotiations of a new contract or anything else. But it's another top-level guy in NXT who could potentially become a free agent if he doesn't agree to terms on a new WWE contract. Dunne's 27 years old. He's still a young guy, but he's been in the WWE system for several years now. Became full-time, shortly after the UK title tournament in January 2017. He was UK champion for 2 years, or at the bare minimum, close to 2 years, before he lost it to Walter. So, he's played a prominent role. He was in the main event of the last TakeOver, for goodness sakes. So, he's been prominent on TV lately as well. I love Pete Dunne. I've loved Pete Dunne for a long, long time. He was a big part of the British indie boom, before it was no longer a boom and everyone signed for WWE. But what do you reckon of this, Adam? I think Pete Dunne would do a good job wherever he went, but my gut tells me he'll end up staying.
Yeah, I sense this is more likely than Adam Cole sticking around in WWE. They're two obviously very different characters. I have no doubt that they would be able to do something great with him, for example, in AEW. I'm not saying he's going to go there if he leaves WWE, but, that seems to be the case with a lot of people at the moment. And I think it was Sidgwick tweeting overnight, or maybe even this morning, about the fact that he would be an ideal fit for something like Team Taz or something. Look, he's a very different character to someone like an Adam Cole, but he's insanely talented. I think, like you say, with his history with WWE, he is probably going to re-sign and stick around there. But wherever he ends up, I know he's just going to absolutely smash it. He's one of the best British talents there is out there.
Yeah, absolutely. A huge part of that indie boom in the UK. Him, Tyler Bate, Trent Seven, and a whole bunch of others. Basically, the NXT UK roster. The vast majority of them. So, yeah, I'm interested to see what his next move is going to be. Hope he gets paid, whatever happens, and I hope he's creatively fulfilled as well, of course.
But speaking about potential free agents, or actual free agents now, actually, a couple of them were backstage on AEW Dynamite this week. This being reported by Bodyslam.net's Cassidy Haynes. Former WWE Cruiserweight champion Tony Nese and his tiny knees were both backstage in Daly's place this week. He was obviously released as part of the cuts in late June. His 90-day no-compete clause means that he wouldn't be able to wrestle for any promotion until the 23rd of September, but he's insanely talented. His abs are obviously unreal, and he'd be a great signing, in my opinion, for AEW. He wasn't the only one backstage, though. Kiera Hogan of Impact Wrestling, or formerly of Impact Wrestling, was also backstage. She's been a former Knockout Tag Team champion, of course, over there. She's incredibly talented as well. Look, we're not suggesting either of these people are about to be signed by AEW, but they are on a bit of a spree at the moment, and they are two people, Andy, who would fit in perfectly in AEW.
Oh, for sure. Another exclusive report here from Body Slam's Cassidy Haynes, who's killing it at the moment. So shout outs to him. Yeah, man. Two good signings, I think. Nice is just a really solid dude. He's a really great athlete, good wrestler, tremendous abs, like you've said. Be a really good, useful player to have on the roster for sure.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him kill it on the indies or whatever, but if he wants a full-time deal on a big stage, boom. I imagine AEW would not be hesitant to go, hey, Tony Nese, come in and do some stuff. And Kiera Hogan as well. She's a promising wrestler, of course, former Knockouts champion in Impact, Knockouts tag team champion, my apologies, with Tasha Steelz. She's done some great work over the past couple of years in particular as well. She's young too, so it's another person to build, to grow, and everything else. We've already seen the good work, the improvement from wrestlers like Ty Conti, who've come into AEW, and Anna Jay and people like that. The company already, even though the women's scene isn't as on TV as much as a lot of people would like, they already have a track record of building people up and people expanding their skill sets when they come in, and that would probably be a good environment. But yeah, I would trust both of these to succeed wherever they land, and if they do end up in AEW, it's a couple of good signings for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. Renee Paquette. She hasn't signed anywhere yet. Do you want to know why? Because she's still got a non-compete clause with WWE. That's almost a year. Bloody hell. She was a guest on the Wrestling Inc. Daily podcast earlier this week, which is where this revelation comes from. Paquette said, however, that her non-compete clause is up soon, and she wanted to emphasize as well that she's still on good terms with WWE. There's no bad blood or anything there. Just a long-ass clause is the situation. Now, the Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer reported in the aftermath of Paquette's WWE release, or her departure from the company, that she had a longer non-compete clause than the standard 90 days doled out to wrestlers. So if you're wondering why she hasn't appeared elsewhere on a wrestling show or on TV, like on a sports show or whatever, this is probably why. That being said, she's been pretty damn busy, hasn't she, since she left WWE last year. She, of course, has her podcast, Oral Sessions, which I'm not going to steal your line, but it's a good podcast.
Yeah, it's great.
It's tremendous. It's also apparently one of the most listened to ones on Colin Cowherd's network as well, so it's doing really great. On top of that, she released her cookbook earlier this year, and the small matter of having a kid. That I'm sure that's probably had a little bit of an impact on her life as well. So you know what we think of Renee on this channel. We think she's tremendous, extremely talented person, and I'm sure job offers will be flooding in from everywhere if they aren't already, once this crazy clause expires.
It's maddening, isn't it? Some people, Aleister Black, they forget, and they only give him a 30-day no-compete clause. They've got a 90-day no-compete for half the people they've released. And then, inexplicably, the contract department in WWE apparently put an extra zero, and it's a 900-day no-compete clause that Renee's got. Obviously, like you say, insanely talented. She's been rather busy, as you alluded to there. Her podcast's great, and whenever that no-compete expires, you'd imagine the next couple of months, let's say, she is going to be, batting away offers with a stick. But rather busy being a mum right now, along with everything else. So best of luck, whatever she decides to do. But I know she'll absolutely smash it, because she's just so talented. And in my opinion, WWE should move heaven and earth to try and get her back. But that's not going to happen. Right, let's conclude with more details about Bray Wyatt's release. An interesting report coming through from Sports Illustrated's Justin Barrasso, who revealed that Bray Wyatt was actually cleared to return to the ring just 2 days before he was released by the company on the 31st of July. He apparently took some time off with an undisclosed physical ailment after WrestleMania 37, but he was deemed good to go on Thursday, the 29th of July, and then on the Saturday, 31st, of course, he was gone. Apparently, Barrasso also reports that Wyatt signed a new multi-year contract worth millions of dollars in 2020, but that does mean now that he's got an updated 90-day no-compete clause, which means he's not going to be able to work for or appear in any other promotion until the 29th of October. But oh god, I still haven't really sunk in that they've got rid of Bray Wyatt, because he seemed integral to them, and then you look at the signature thing that opens the show, and now it's Finn Balor and not The Fiend who pops up on that. You know what I mean? The WWE signature thing. But you can go back to the ring now. You won't be going back to the ring though, because you'll get released. Wild, this Andy.
What an absolute bummer that is, isn't it? Like, you get cleared to compete after, 3 months or whatever, and then, hey, bye. Like, that's rough. That really stinks. The poor guy, man. The poor guy. Yeah, I'm still very surprised they let him go as well. It seems to me, at least, like, the WWE product is the perfect place for him and, like, his kind of creativity. So it's a sucky situation on, like, a human level and everything else. And, 3 months, I'm sure he'll be back in some shape or form in whatever company. He seems like a guy who wants to have his ideas out there in the world, and I don't think he'll be satisfied if he's just sitting at home keeping them to himself. So don't think we've heard the last from Wyndham Rotunda by a long shot.
No, lots of allusions to that on that segment with the Elite on AEW on Wednesday night with the Ric Flair robe and the Cookie Monster stuff and, of course, the Hawaiian shirts. It was either that or a reference to Michael Sidgwick's wardrobe. I can't really work out which one it was. Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE. Of course, if you want to get in touch with us. First question today comes from CM Chonk, who says, how would you feel about WWE splitting the Queen of the Ring brackets with one side NXT and the other side Raw and SmackDown, and had the final match at Survivor Series? What do you reckon to Queen of the Ring, Andy?
Yeah, I think that's a logical way to do it, isn't it? Have like the opposing brands fight out. She can have showcase matches on the shows every single week. Then a big final on TV for each show, and then building up to the final of finals on the pay-per-view as well. Although, like, as an alternative path, I would quite like to see some NXT and maybe even NXT UK people mixed into this. I think that'd be cool. I'd love to see like a Miko Satomura or a Kaylee Ray in there if it's possible for them to travel over and do matches. I'd love to see Io Shirai in there, some newcomers like Zoe Stark as well. I think there's good potential to mix it up with all of WWE's brands, and for me, I think that would be a little bit more of a fuller tournament. However, I also think that this is a good idea. It's like sporting stuff, isn't it? And
yeah,
we love that sport-centric
I'm really
stuff.
excited about Queen of the Ring. Did I read that the finals might be in Saudi Arabia, though?
That is certainly a choice, and yes, you did read that.
Okay. Me and Hample actually did an entire podcast predicting or suggesting ideas for Queen of the Ring. Mainly, don't have Charlotte win it was the central thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a part of it. But yeah, we get it. She was a queen. She shouldn't have to win it. But we did a whole podcast about that. You can get that What Culture Wrestling wherever you get your podcast from. But yeah, we suggested maybe not necessarily splitting the brackets up, but I think we had maybe like 16 people involved in it, and we divvied it up so it was a certain number from Raw, a certain number from SmackDown, and then yeah, a little bit of like NXT UK, and also let's get some legends back in there. Well, I'd love to see. I always go to Molly Holly, which is Pop Phil, who's editing this video, of course. But I also think people like Victoria, who's great, who should be on WWE more because I love her. She's fantastic. People like that just to come back and either put stars over or go on a bit of a run in this tournament would be fantastic. But a Queen of the Ring leading to a title shot for someone, I think would be great. I'm just glad that they finally bloody got round to it, to be honest. Right, second question today comes from Mysterian Jr., who says there is plenty of talk about who Kenny Omega might be dropping his belts to, but who do you think that the Bucks are going to drop theirs to? Mysterian Jr. says, I hope it's FTR after their proud and powerful feud.
I think it's going to be proud and powerful. That's my pick to take the belts. I think that when they do the rematch, which it seems like they're going to do because of the promo in this week's Dynamite where Dax was like, you almost killed my best friend, my tag team partner, I'm going to kill you. It was a really good promo.
Didn't need to see the arm hanging off. I've seen that once. It's more than enough.
That was enough, wasn't it? But the way I've expressed the promo there makes it sound silly, but no, it was really great stuff. Yeah. It seems like they're going to go back to that match, and I think Ortiz and Santana have been waiting for their flowers in AEW for a while, haven't they? They've been on the roster since day one, and they've not really had that big focused, concerted title level push yet. So I think it's going to be them. I also think they're a bit more natural opponents for the Bucks, as FTR are heels and the Bucks are heels now as well, as opposed to the first time they faced. So yeah, I think it's a bit more natural, and I think a big title win in New York City, Arthur Ashe Stadium, would be tremendous.
That's a hell of a shout. Yeah, I've got to agree with you, the whole proud and powerful thing. FTR, another FTR Young Bucks match would be great, but I think proud and powerful, you're right, are the guys to take those titles off the Bucks. Or the new greatest tag team in AEW 2.0, who of course didn't lose because they didn't get pinned.
That's how it works.
Undefeated still in AEW. Final question today comes from Mimi Burris, who's been coming in with a load of great questions recently. Mimi says, hello and happy Friday. If you were going to get one wrestling-related tattoo on your body, what would you get? Mimi's is the obvious DMD on a toothbrush, of course. Genius.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of great wrestling-centric tattoos you could get. You could ape CM Punk and get a Pepsi tattoo. If you want, you could get whatever you want. There's loads of people in wrestling with great body art and everything else. Your Malachi Blacks and the Butcher. He's got loads of great tattoos as well. Loads of great ideas. I'm going to go for the wrestling tattoo that everyone loves, and I'm going to get it right on my forehead. Cody's neck tattoo. Boom.
Oh, I still remember
Sorry,
when
Cody.
that happened, and we went, You've done what, Cody?
What's this?
Is that permanent?
But it was a transfer. You you used to get those transfers out of magazines, and you could put some water on it and you'd be like, hey, look at my tattoo. And you're 9 years old. Do you think you got tattoos? I thought it was like that as well, but nope.
I've already
Cody.
I've already got my wrestling-related tattoo. I think I've mentioned it on some previous videos. Full back tattoo of Titus Worldwide.
Of course.
It's on the back. I won't get out. No one wants to see that. Right, let's conclude with today's and finally, and just a lovely touch here from the guys at Collar and Elbow. Obviously, awful news coming out yesterday about the passing of beautiful Bobby Eaton. And they're releasing a Bobby Eaton memorial shirt. All proceeds from the sales will go directly to the family of their friend, beautiful Bobby Eaton. There's a link that was posted by the Blue Meanie. You can find it on our Twitter. Just go and search for it. Go and buy this shirt. Go and support them because he's an absolute legend, and I think this is a fantastic little touch, Andy.
Yeah, for sure. There's the GoFundMe as well to cover the funeral expenses. It's already something like $5,000 over the top. Obviously, in situations like this, the family and everyone else could obviously use more. So there you go. Chris Jericho donated $5,000 as well. He's always involved in these causes and always putting forth generous donations. So yeah, once again, man, rest in peace, Bobby Eaton. The guy, even though it felt like he was wrestling eons ago, he was only 62 years old. It's a really sad situation, and rest in peace.
Yeah, it's been a weird few days because this happened. It's obviously terrible news, and yet as a result of this happening, I found out so many great stories that I didn't know about Bobby Eaton. So yeah, well worth reading up on Squared Circle or just searching on Twitter because everyone's got such great things to say and fantastic stories to tell as well. The one about him being revealed as dating, I can't remember whose daughter it was he was dating, but regardless, it is a fantastic story.
Yeah, tremendous, man. You always love to see the outpouring of just great stories and everything else. Obviously, the overbearing thing is a tragic situation, but it's nice to celebrate the lives of these people as well as acknowledging the horrific loss to the family and everyone else. So,
once again, our thoughts and prayers go out to the friends and family of the late beautiful Bobby Eaton. But let us know your thoughts on that and all of today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. Myself and the Dudley Boys sitting down to preview SmackDown a little bit later on today. And of course, there's going to be Wrestle Culture with a hashtag Bloody Good Quiz. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE. Watch there, follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at
Andy H. Murray, and the H today stands for hey. We talked about him on the news today. Happy birthday, Tony Nese.
It's his birthday. Happy birthday, Tony.
Nice coincidence.
News. You can follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. But for now, my thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for joining us. We will see you soon.